Hey guys, this is Jeremy with a quick video tutorial here on my thinking on building Google Calendar to match what's being done with internal spaces calendars for North and South Campus, as well as the vehicle calendar and a couple of others that I wasn't aware of, like absentee calendars. So I'm signed into my Go Saints Google Calendar right now. Of course, on the left hand side, my calendar is the one that's here in purple. You can see the red one is an event that's happening in the I2 Lab North. These calendars here are called resource calendars, and I'll be putting common spaces in here that aren't already in, like Science Lecture Hall, North Campus Commons, the I2 Labs. There'll be one for CPA. That's also where you'll find the vehicle request calendar and the lower, middle, and upper school out of office or absentee calendar. Those are going to be considered resource calendars. But how we've come up with a method of doing the calendars for internal spaces is we had to actually have a user tied to those, because when you create a calendar event in Google Calendar, you click the create button here. I like using the more options screen. You type in what the event is, so evening banquet. Let me make sure I type that correctly. You put the time on here, so I'm going to go down to 5 o'clock and it ends at 8 o'clock. I'm going to choose the date, and then for the location, if it's a room on campus that I said, then that's a resource, and you can come down here and choose that room. Here are the other ones, the leave request, North Kids. We're going to do that in North Campus Commons. But then if I go ahead and I can also invite guests to that if I wanted to. But if I did all this and click save, this is all happening on my calendar, which, you know, as the more I talked about this and thought about this, Brad was very helpful. It didn't make sense to put the event on my calendar and then book a room, because then how would people find it? They would have to subscribe to my own calendar. So what we did instead is we created 2 new user accounts. The first one, and you can do this by going to other calendars and saying subscribe, because you have to subscribe to this user. And the first one we created is called North Campus Internal Spaces. I'm going to subscribe to that calendar. As soon as I do that, it says calendar added right there, and it's done. I click the left arrow. I'm going to do that one more time though, because I need to do it for the South Campus Internal Spaces. So I click plus, I say subscribe to calendar. Once again, I start typing the name, South Campus Internal Spaces. I don't know why it's not finding that one for me. I think it's because it's so new. So I know the email address is South Camp SC Internal Spaces at gosaints.org. Calendar added. So because that one was just created by me, I had to type in the email address directly, but you'll just be able to find it by typing the name. Anyway, I'm going to leave the settings pane now, and if you see what I've done is I subscribed to 2 calendars, one for a user. It's actually not a real user, but it's called North Campus Internal Spaces. That's this one right here. I can change the color of that calendar if I want to something else. Then I also subscribed to one called South Campus Internal Spaces. Again, I can change the color of that calendar too. You, Megan, and Greg, and anyone else who currently manages the North Campus Internal Spaces or South Campus Internal Spaces calendar, your process will be to sign in as these users. North Campus Internal Spaces, if you're Megan, add the event, book the room if applicable, and you're done. Greg, same with you. You'll sign in as South Campus Internal Spaces, book the event, add the room if applicable, using whatever naming convention you guys already have, and you're done. And then how I communicate this and how you communicate this to the rest of the user community, people who want to consume this content, they'll have to subscribe to a calendar called North Campus Internal Spaces and South Campus Internal Spaces, using that process that I just showed you. You come over here to other calendars, you click plus, subscribe, yada yada, and then you can turn those calendars on or off over here by putting the check mark in front of it or removing it. There's no content right now in either of those because Ray and I haven't imported it yet from the current calendar. We won't do that for a little bit closer to the cutover date, but I just wanted to get in video format my thoughts on how this is going to work. If you watched all of this, you're a rock star.